The Paper Birds, founded in 2003, are a devising theatre company who make political theatre. The company is often recognised for exploring social issues and their use of verbatim. Mobile is the Paper Birds' latest project and is a theatre show that takes place inside a touring caravan. It is the second show in a trilogy of works that the company is making which explores issues around class. Mobile focuses specifically on social mobility. Social mobility is the movement of individuals within or between social strata in a society. It is normally measured as a change in social status or social class relative to one's parents within a given society.
I'd say I'm a regular middle class, sit pretty comfortable there.
Bog standard, normal working class, and I definitely come from a working class family.
I think where I am in the class spectrum is probably lower middle class through my parents, but right now on minimum wage I'm the lowest of the low.
I'd like maybe to shift up simply because you can get cooler stuff.
I would aim to be classless because I don't want to be bracketed in a group that's meaningless.
I think I'm pretty comfortable with my class. I'm happy with my life, I'm happy with how things are.
I like to think I'm in a class of my own, actually.
My name's Sam Friedman and I'm an assistant professor in sociology at the London School of Economics. So predominantly I'm a researcher and my research specialty is really social class and social inequality here in the UK. So social mobility is essentially looking at how your destination in life, so normally measured in terms of your occupation, relates to what your parents did for a living. So social mobility is very much considered in society as a whole, particularly in politics, as a sort of unequivocally positive thing. But I think actually if you study social mobility, as I've done, and you talk to people who have actually experienced it, you find that it's actually quite a complex experience which comes with a lot of costs as well, particularly in terms of how those people actually relate to where they've come from, in terms of their family, in terms of their friends. I think these hidden costs of social mobility are really important if we really want to understand social mobility as a whole.
I think class still exists in the sense that there's a massive divide financially, and it's quite obvious when you look at the public.
The idea that the society is getting more equal, but I think social mobility is actually really coming to a virtual standstill.
I feel there's a lot of stigma around upper class being quite posh, being quite wealthy. I feel I'd lose appreciation and value things less.
A lot of people that are in lower classes are trapped. So if you have to work full time, you don't have time to follow your passion or your dream. And if you don't pick it up early enough where you do have time, then you've wasted your opportunity.
I study education in uni, and sometimes if you're from a lower class family and they haven't been educated, it passes down to you, which means things like talking and communicating basic English is difficult for them. Depends how you define richness. Is it love? Is it experience? Is it happiness? Or is it money?
My name is Gemma MacDonald and I am the Artistic Director of the Paper Birds Theatre Company. A few years ago we met a sociologist called Sam Friedman. He was living in Edinburgh. We were doing some shows at the festival there. He ran a magazine and he'd come to see some of our previous works, and we got to discussing what he was studying at the time, which was social mobility, and we kind of saw an opportunity there because his research was really interesting. It was based on interviews he'd taken around the UK, and we decided that that was something that we could explore together.
At the same time as this, we were starting to think about making our previous production, Broke, which was a piece that explored debt and poverty in Britain. And so we were like, what's at the root of that? At the root of that is also this issue of class. It fell into place for us. We were like, okay, we've got these two ideas for these two different shows that we want to make both of them, and they've kind of got the same backbone. Why not make a trilogy about class?
We made our first show, Broke, and it was a studio show that toured to theatres around the UK. And we wanted to do something slightly different with the second show in the trilogy. It's about where you've come from and where you're going. It's about ambition and family. We decided to set the show mobile in a caravan, primarily because it meant that the show would be mobile and we could take it to audiences, but also because it offered a really different performance space. It's very intimate. We could affect an audience in that space in a different way to when we're in a theatre and it's much larger. It also meant we could use different theatrical ideas, that are much smaller and subtle than, if you're in a much bigger space with kind of 200 seats. So we saw lots of opportunities there. Theatrically, it became quite exciting.
Looking at its origin in like the 1920s, 1900s, when the caravan first emerged, it was about affluent people and the fact that you needed a car to be able to tow a caravan, and not everybody had a car. And so what we've loved is this arc that the caravan has taken itself. It started off as this really like posh thing to do, and then it slowly became, everyone did it. It was really working class, and then it's kind of curved off again at the end, like taking the holiday in the caravan is not as popular as it once was. So we loved that its own mobility.
Taking Sam's research, we then began to edit down the transcripts, look at the different kind of stories that we had there and select them. We also went out and started doing our own interviews in different contexts, different age groups, different parts of the country, so that we could then edit down and start to kind of, as a company, look at what do we want this show to say, and what are the stories that need to be discussed and the stories that need to be heard.
Verbatim theatre is when you take real people's words and place them on the stage. So the word verbatim means word for word. For us, it means interviewing people and selecting a part of their interview and placing it within the piece.
The essence of it is to bring all these things together and take it into our devising process and have people's real thoughts and opinions and experiences at the root of the work that we're making. We undertook a research and development process, and what was quite important for us in that time was to work with a company called the Media Workshop, because one of the things we really wanted to explore was the technology within the caravan. So for it to look like a normal caravan and feel like a normal caravan, but for the technology to almost kind of really enhance and become the characters within the show.
So at the Media Workshop we work in a number of different areas of media and technology. One of those in particular is creative tech for theatre and performance. So we've formed an ongoing relationship with the Paper Birds. We've created a few pieces of work with them in the past. And when we started discussing the ideas around the mobile project, we started to get really excited around the potential behind what we could do within the close confines of a caravan space.
We knew that inside the caravan needed to be magical. So it was really important that we continued that relationship with the Media Workshop, and we asked them to assist in how we would transform the caravan from, a humble, everyday, naturalistic setting into being somewhere where the kettle can come alive and the lamp can become a character that you become totally emotionally engaged with.
The goal is to make the caravan look like a caravan still, even though it's actually a fully functioning theatre space.
My role is as a designer for the whole piece, both inside the caravan and also outside externally, and the whole experience of the audience. What I found interesting was the scale of the piece, because your audiences are in the set as far as I was concerned. So the challenge for that was the intimacy and the closeness of the space, what we could do with it.
Converting a caravan into a theatre space throws up challenges. With a theatre space, it's a given that you've got lighting and sound.
The main challenge was trying to fit an audience. 9 audience members had to fit into a caravan with limited capacity. From there, I started off with looking at the space itself and what we could pull out and where the seating could be. It's almost like fitting a jigsaw puzzle.
It took about 6 months of designing and developing, researching, figuring out how we were going to turn this caravan into the theatre space that it is now. like they're supposed to be there. So we've got a few extra lights in there, and the goal is to make them look as inconspicuous as possible, along with the sound as well. We've got a full surround sound system in there, which is not really common for a caravan, and just trying to blend this technology into the caravan space to make sure it doesn't stick out and it's not obvious. The same with the projectors. The projectors have to be hidden, and they're inside cupboards, and they get hot.
So devising with technology within theatre context is actually quite a big challenge, as the time between coming up with the ideas and then actually executing them using the technology, the suitable technology for the job, is very different to the time it takes for a performer to come up with an idea and then try it out on stage. You know, there's a lot of R&D type work that needs to happen with the tech before you kind of make those decisions around whether you're actually going to use it in the show or not.
So in the research and development weeks, we started to really experiment with sound and with projection, and really kind of push what the technology was doing, almost to the point that it was kind of another character within the show, and that kind of those ideas developed really nicely.
So we run 2 racks of technology which power 8 displays, a surround sound system and a full lighting rig. It also runs the objects, which include a talking clock, a talking kettle and microwave and lamp. I think the biggest challenge for the show has been developing these objects. We've been through a lot of iterations of which objects we're going to use and what they're going to do and how they're going to come to life. The clock particularly has taken me quite a long time to design and then build and then implement and make it show ready. A big part of all of the technology in this is making it tourable, making it durable, making it work in a caravan space that's going to be toured around the country.
Your audiences are sitting in the space. There is no hiding place for anything. Every little detail has to be accounted for.
The thing about using all this technology in a caravan is keeping it hidden or making it not obvious. So we have these custom built shelves for the TVs that sit on the outside of the caravan. The screens inside the caravan are hidden away, the projectors are hidden in cupboards, the speakers are sort of inconspicuous. All the lighting is sort of lighting that you would find in a caravan anyway, but we have control over it to make it more theatrical.
So now the show has kind of got lots of magic. It's quite an exciting space to be in because things aren't what they seem. The caravan looks really normal, but it's not.
Within the final week, the main sort of elements came together. So you've got the design elements, you've got of course the performance and the technological input by the media workshop. And all of that being pulled in, and the timing of each element has been key. It's been very exciting.
So it's been a really exciting process collaborating on this project with the Paper Birds, and it's fantastic now to see all of the different bits coming together and working together so well.
So I think for me it's just absolutely fantastic that, you know, this has been a really long journey, and after all the discussions that I've had with the Paper Birds, it's finally coming to fruition, and I'm able to see that, you know, research that could have just ended up on some dusty academic shelf is really coming alive and is going to be seen by a much wider audience, an audience that really academics should be trying to engage with much more.
it was an incredible, emotional journey.
It's really pertinent to what's going on in the world at the moment.
Stunning, fantastic, amazingly immersive, and just really personal.
There's lots of those little, the utilities just coming alive. That was amazing, because you weren't expecting that.
Yeah.
And then they just kept popping up and popping up.
It's explored in a really nice way, and that has that beautiful, playful style that paper birds bring to it.
Yeah, I think I'm still processing it a bit.